Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube, also streaming live on Reality Realness with 3S's. We're back to talk about the Challenge USA, episode 1. Chantal, how are you doing? Are you excited about this new show? What is your early thoughts in regards to the Challenge USA?
I don't know if they set up having it go after the most boring premiere season of Big Brother ever, so it would appear to be a really fun, hyped up show. But I really enjoyed it. Out of all the shows that started this week and all the shows that I watched, I was pumped watching this series. I thought it was a really strong premiere. If it just stays at where it is, like, it's going to be an amazing season. I loved every second of it, and I can't wait to talk about it because I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, also a part here of this trio dissecting the challenge. We do the challenge main show, the challenge All-Stars. We, in fact, just did an All-Stars podcast. Coming straight into the Challenge USA is Angel Cake Entertainment, also known as Drew, his real name. Drew, what did you think of this Challenge USA? I know you were very sort of 50-50, testing out the waters. Like, how will the season be so far? How do you think we started here?
I think you can't ask for a better premiere than what we got. I think that for going in relatively cautiously optimistic, it got me more excited. I'm still going to be cautiously optimistic because we don't know exactly how the season can play out. Like, they threw in a decent amount of twists that I think could help nullify some of the numbers, nerf some of how these players are going to play. But sometimes the execution of these twists can also be a downfall once the players start to really figure out how to play the game. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season can hold. And I'm actually getting more excited thinking about the possibilities of everything that could go down. And I'm so happy to hear from Chantal that she thought that Big Brother episode was boring, because I decided to tune in live since I was going to watch the challenge afterwards anyways. And by gosh, I was cringing the whole time.
You guys are not selling it to me. Like, I was holding off. I was holding off on watching any Big Brother because I told you guys last season of Big Brother, I tuned out after a couple of weeks. I was like, I know he's going to win. I thought Xavier was going to win, and he ended up going deep and actually doing it. But if that is how it's starting, like, that does not, like, I was going to watch it over the weekend. I put it to the side. I was like, I don't need to podcast about it.
Watch it. Like, okay. it was just boring, especially when after we saw the Challenge CBS or USA, and it was like so fun and so exciting. And so it could have just been because I'm comparing the two, because I just watched them back to back right after each other. And you know, it's completely different shows, right? The Challenge USA, it was just really exciting to see all these people in a new format. You know that the Challenge loves its shots, and it's like its angles, and it's like fast cuts, and so it was already more entertaining. It was like watching an action movie versus watching like a drama, you know? And so, like, it was just very different, and it was just positioned against each other that it just appeared to be really, really boring.
Fair enough.
I definitely enjoyed it because I love Big Brother, and I think it still could be potentially a good season. So I say give it still a shot, because I'm not exactly sure how things are going to play out yet. There's nobody that I'm like, oh, they're winning for sure at this point. Not at all.
I was going to say, see everybody here in the live that always comes from my neck because Chris is so pro Big Brother. The real Big Brother fan here is Chantal, not Chris. But I'll watch it if it's a good season. I'll get into it and I'll watch it. But hey, we had a lot of Big Brother players coming back this season. We had some Survivor players coming. We've had Live Island, The Amazing Race. There's a few shows coming back here, but overall, I've got to say I was extremely high on almost everybody. Like, I felt they brought a lot of personality, a lot of entertainment in this episode, and I was excited to see the Challenge USA. I mean, I definitely will find it hard this season to hide my bias for Survivor players, like, because I am a diehard Survivor fan, so I'm just going to be like, go Tyson, go Ben, go, you know, everybody, Sarah, everybody from Survivor. That's my tribe, you know, in this season. But that doesn't mean that some other players can't, you know, make a good impression on me. I was really high on Kylan this episode. I really got behind him. You know, the fact that he trained to come here, wants to win the season, he's taking it seriously. That's the kind of people we want to see play this game. Like we've said many a time, Chantal, when we see rookies come into the game, they don't take it seriously. They're not there to try and win the game. Kylan is not coming in with that attitude. He's coming in to fight. Obviously not the best start for him, a bit shaky, but ended up redeeming himself towards the end of it. So I feel like a lot of people are coming to play the game. The Love Island people, I would say, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I still feel like they're somewhere on a Love Island at times. There's a lot of drama and exes and things like that, which I struggle to keep on top of because I don't watch the Love Island. But I've got both you and Drew here to help me and educate me in regards to who used to date who and what the tea is behind some of the tension that is in the house from Love Island.
Well, I'm sure that this randomizer will help us illuminate some of these storylines with the Love Island cast. I do not see there, and like I know that at least the next matchup is going to be Cache and Cinco. Like it has to happen, right, Drew? Like I feel like that's going to be one of these random duos that are going to be for the next episode.
Did Tiffany and Cinco have something going on? Because it looked like they were chatting at one point. The next on, it seemed like there was something there. There's some history.
I think it's just when the Cookout was so popular and they were hanging out with a lot of other people from from last summer. And so I think Cinco was just somebody that was popular last summer and they were just probably doing like events and like hung out many times together. So that's what I think. I don't think there was anything going on with them, but
they weren't kicking it. They were just hanging out.
Right. But I think she was kicking it with Kylan at some point. Maybe still is. I don't know.
We saw a little bit of that. Kylan gets her like no one else can on this season, apparently.
So we'll see. We'll see. But right. I have to tell you something, Chris, and you're going to be shocked. So I did another draft with Michelle and with Matthew. And on that draft.
Oh, did you put Ben as your number one?
Not my number one, but I got him. And I got Sarah Lucida. My team is hateable, rootable because I don't exactly enjoy them, but I'm going to be rooting for them. But yes, those two are on that particular draft of mine.
Yeah. Well, let's have a quick sneak peek here. We won't talk about it too much about our teams here for the draft this season. Drew just absolutely schooled us on the Challenge All-Stars and, he had more points.
You don't need to talk about
he had more points than me and Chantel combined. But this is a new season coming into this one here. These are the teams going into it. There was a lot of talk about Sarah from the girls. Like, a lot of them are intimidated by her. She had some early confessionals here in this episode as well, saying that they should just write her the check already, So she's very confident coming into it. I thought Ben got some really positive confessionals again. So I still feel very good about my number 1 and 2 here this episode. Drew, both Danny and Tasha, they got good confessionals here as well in the first episode.
Yeah,
how are you feeling about your team as a whole?
So far, I like that Danny is getting a lot of screen time. And I like the way he competed with Shan, who he was kind of nervous about coming onto the season. But I kind of viewed it as keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer kind of thing. So when he was talking about what his wife told him if Shan was on the season, I was like, it was a good pickup to bring Shan onto your team. I mean, closer to the end of my draft, I'm not a huge fan of, but I like who I have on my team in general. Like, I feel like I like to root for all the people on my team. I just don't know how at least the back half is going to do, especially after what happened this season and how seems to be no love for Love Island. And I have at least 3 Love Island people towards the back half of my my draft there. So we'll see what happens.
Chantel, you had the perfect start here with your number 1 and 2 pick being paired up and, winning the daily.
I mean, I definitely did not know that they're going to be paired up. You guys all know that I was going to pick Tyson if I was going to be going first. That was a no-brainer. I think you guys were surprised by my Angela pick, and I just knew a little bit more about her to know that she was going to be capable of being a great pick. And so I'm really pleased that I'm going to be getting at least some points there for these two for some of the dominance that they've had early on in this season. I'm very happy with both of them. I know that with having the randomizer, I know we'll talk a bit more about it after, but the fact that everybody's going to probably want to have them as their partner instead of getting rid of them, which makes me also really happy because it changes the strategy a little bit. Like, you don't necessarily want to take out the people that are good in case you haven't been part partners with them again. Maybe when you have a partner with somebody good, you'd be like, okay, we can get rid of them now. I'm not going to get a partner with them again. We don't want anybody else to be their partner. But until you get them, like, I hope that they're going to stick around for a while. So I'm very happy with my team so far. I'm hoping that Shannon will have a little bit of a resurgence, and get into the game. She's the only, I'd say, weak link, we'll say, on my team right now. But yeah. I'm happy with my team.
Your top four looks rock solid based off what we saw here in the premiere episode. And just to put a little bit of respect to myself and Drew's name, I think we both would have picked Angela if you didn't, pretty early on as well, because I definitely know she's a competitor, definitely. I mean, from her season as well. And you wouldn't have? Okay, well, it was Drew that was low on her, not me.
Well, I can't say I would have because I passed on her to get Tasha. So I can't say like, oh, I would.
Yeah, but that's a good pick as well.
I didn't. Yeah, I know.
But would you have picked her in the second round? You probably would have picked
Angela.
I'm assuming you would have picked her in that second tier, probably.
Oh yeah, I would have
Maybe
probably
not.
if she was there. Maybe.
Yeah.
I do like my Chantel pick. So I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I just wouldn't. I just didn't get a good vibe from her. I didn't know if I wanted to root for her. So that's why I didn't pick Angela.
I'm rooting so hard for her right now. Sorry.
Good, thanks.
Just wanted to say welcome back to everybody here in the live stream that are with us. You guys are the true heroes. Back to back, we're doing this here today. Lovable Nikki, thank you for looking after the chat again. Christian Gal, who's a big Survivor fan, welcome as well to the challenge live stream. I'm assuming, Christian, this is the first time that you're watching the challenge as well. And everybody else here as well, welcome. Christina has a great comment here. Love Island seems like they only watch early challenge seasons and not current challenge seasons. I kind of got a little bit of a vibe that a lot of the Love Island crew would have fitted in really well with some of those early seasons. They're out there to have a good time, party, that kind of element to it, where I think Survivor, Big Brother, and even maybe The Amazing Race, they're coming in with like a business mindset. We're here to try and win the game. Is that how you guys saw it as well, or am I misrepresenting some of the earlier seasons here?
I actually got a text, and I actually don't know what you said.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I was like, I'm like, can I fake it? I don't know if I can fake it. So I was like, hopefully Drew would take this lob over here. But a text came in, and I was thinking about something else. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Give me the abbreviated version. I'll do it. Go ahead.
I mean, I could just go.
Go.
So it's about the Love Island people and everybody else coming in business-like, right? So
yes.
So this is the thing. I think Love Island, I want to see their vibe on the main show. That's what I want to see, because that party scene is the best party scene we've seen on the main season of the challenge ever. Like, that's what I want to see on the main season. But coming into this cast and how competitive they are, and we've already gotten the first daily challenge. We've gotten into where we know who's in power, who's going into the elimination, and there's a decision up in the air, that I think Survivor, Big Brother, who is coming in relatively older than some of the Love Island contestants, I feel like they're in game mode already. Like, they're already like, we got to do this, we got to do that. I'm number crunching, because you could see like some of the dancing that they did was kind of getting some of the Survivor players uncomfortable. Sarah, when Celie was like hunched over their table, and Sarah was just like, no, thank you. I don't want to be here right now. So I just feel like they're in this cast. It's more of a target on their backs looking at, oh, they're partying. But without them, this wouldn't be as fun of a party scene, I believe. Like, we saw Tasha getting down, and I'm sure a lot of people were getting down. But after a while, it was just super serious, time to talk about game. And I get where they're coming from. But this is the type of stuff I want to see people actually having fun. And I don't want to see business or competitions all the time, block to block, minute by minute. I don't want to see it being too serious. So I do like the vibe that they're giving off. I just want it on the main season, because I think that's what the main season is missing as well.
A little bit of fun. So now that I know exactly what you asked, I actually obviously I was obsessed with like everybody from Survivor and Big Brother immediately into game mode. Like, I love the fact that they're already thinking about matching up. Okay, we have to put Angela up against Sarah and get one of those two out. Like, they're already thinking strategically. But I loved Love Island in there, just having fun, having a good time. I listened to Selly on Rob's podcast, and Giovanni, they were doing some exit interviews, and Selly said like, yeah, like I like try to kiss the meow meow. You know, I went up to him and like kiss me, and like he wouldn't kiss me, and like she's like, I don't know, I was just like feeling him. I thought he was cute. Like I do like that playfulness of like what we used to love about old school, the challenge, where it was like make out, hookups, like, and then challenge, and then make out, hookups, challenge. I think that they bring a little bit of that old school energy back to it. And then I think it's a nice balance with these people that are like, okay, I'm old here. I'm here for a paycheck. I'm not here to dance. I'll do some strategy here. But I think that balance is good. And I think that this is why we have so many Love Island people on it, because we know that they're not going to necessarily be strategic, but they're going to bring in some elements of fun and party time. So I like the balance.
Yeah, Christina here says during the party scene, Survivor and Enzo looked like they really wanted to go home and go to bed. I think that was always going to be the challenge. We spoke about this before the challenge. Actually, the USA was premiering. We said, hey, there's so many different seasons, so many different shows coming into this game, shows that are very different to each other, like Big Brother and I think Survivor from a strategic point of view, building alliances, that type of, I guess, kind of way of looking at the game. That's very similar, but then Love Island is a show about having fun, doing parties, making out, that type of thing. So they were obviously going to do what they're known for coming in, but there was one person who said that they didn't really want to do any of that. They've put the island behind them, and that's Cinco. Cinco saying he's got his game face on coming into this thing, and that is in the past. And I believe Cinco and Cachet used to be together. So Cachet maybe, I don't know, she's saying it's awkward. Cinco wants to keep moving on. There's going to be some drama, I think, in the future episodes that's going to come from this.
They'll be partnered up randomly. I 100% believe that. Like, it's no doubt in my mind. I don't exactly know what happened with them. I thought it was an amicable breakup, but it seems like on the show that it wasn't, or something has happened. And there has been a bit of drama that I haven't been able to figure out what the actual tea is. Trina has been bad-mouthing. Trina was also on Love Island, and there was a love triangle with her, Cachet, and Cinco. And then, but Cachet prevailed and she got the guy, and then I thought that they were friends, and then now Trina's bad mouthing Cash, and it has something to do with the child. Like, I don't know what's happened yet. So I feel like some drama is going to be coming out that will explain all this other drama that I don't really know what exactly is happening. So yes, more drama to come, 100%. Thank God they're both on my team. I'll take some 5 points, please.
And then the other, sorry, you go ahead, Drew.
I was just going to say there's probably going to be either they're going to team up at some point, which is most likely going to happen, but also that there's going to be some point where either one of them will come in last place, and then it'll be, I heard you saying something bad in another room about me. You were trying to throw me under the bus kind of thing, whether it's Cachet coming in last place and then, or Cinco coming in last place and then he wants somebody, but then Cachet is talking to somebody and it gets back to the team in power. That why don't we throw in a good team to go up against Cinco and try to take him out type of thing. And this is what Cachet was saying kind of. So I feel like there's going to be something to that effect as well that could be in play, where then they're going to have to come at each other and actually have to talk. Because we heard Cinco say at one point to Tiffany, I don't have to talk to her while I'm here to do good in the game. So I feel like you're going to have to talk to her. You're going to have to talk to Cachet at some point in the game. And they wouldn't leave that in there if they in fact didn't need to talk to each other. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, Tatiana is saying Cinco looks like he doesn't want to fool with his ex in there, and that is exactly what you just said, Drew. The biggest storyline with the Love Island folks, I feel like this episode was the one between Cashel and Kyra, which they went on a road trip together. They didn't make the destination. You know, they ended up splitting up. It does look like Cashel wants to keep it casual and still wants to try his luck here, but Kyra is completely, no, not interested, not here for this. But that was probably the biggest drama, I would say, or the biggest storyline from the Love Island crew. Is there any backstory that we need to know about from those two? We could keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Don't even care about them. I'm happy that they won't be partners again. And
Cashel has the personality of one of those contour rugs that you put around the toilet. Like, it's just not a whole lot going on there. And it's just a very dry personality. I was like, come on, dude.
Like
You're really putting... Yeah, so I'm like, come on, man. Like, we're giving him some screen time. I have some players on here that aren't even getting a confessional, thanks, Challenge USA. So yeah, we'll just see how that
He
goes.
went
They got to milk
undrafted.
it.
He went undrafted
Yeah.
on my other draft. So
I was going to say they have to milk it while Love Island is still there. They got to get all this drama out because they know there's a certain amount of fans that love seeing the sloppiness, love seeing the love connections and the partying and things like that. And I've got a feeling what we're seeing here very early on is that Love Island is out of their element. And I don't feel very high on Love Island going deep in this game. Prior to the season starting, we were all afraid of a Love Island Big Brother connection. But at this stage, it looks like Big Brother and Survivor is working a little bit more than Big Brother and Love Island. But we have a lot of players coming back from Big Brother. One of the things that was quite interesting, obviously, we've got the Cookout Alliance making its way over, Chantal, to the game. There's a few people who were burned by this Cookout Alliance, and we spoke about that. Would Alyssa and Derek really want to work with them this season? And very early on, we hear that no, Alyssa is not going to be doing that, and it looks like X has got a really big blind spot here because he thinks that he's got Alyssa in his pocket.
Well, that's the thing with Xavier. So when he was playing his season of Big Brother with both those two, he had a huge crush on Alyssa. And he was just like a lovesick puppy around Alyssa. And he wanted to protect her as much as he can. And they were on the same original team together. And like they're the kings. And like he had a crush on her and he wanted to protect her. And she was kind of had a showmance with somebody else, but he really wanted to date her. And I think they might have tried something after he won $750,000 because that is very attractive and it might have maybe allowed her to want to maybe indulge in a little bit in a relationship with him, but it didn't work out. No matter what, like I understand for the cause, what they were doing, wanting to have the cookout be the first time 6 Black people were going to make the final 6, like having their first Black winner. All that was really, really amazing that they were able to accomplish. But both Derek and Alyssa were casualties along the way. And so regardless of whether or not their friendships and relationships were true and that the cause was something valiant, they are going to still feel really soured that they really trusted these people and they really cared about these people. And it wasn't 100% true. They weren't 100% being honest. They were willing to let them go. And that stings. So yes, he definitely has a blind spot because she was just blindly loyal to him the whole season. But watching it back and seeing what actually went down, I'm sure she's going to be a little bit salty. And so I am not surprised that they're going to be like, well, we'll keep you around for now, but I'm not going to be as loyal to you as I was the first time around. So I love that they're coming for revenge. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Revenge.
There was so much surrounding the revenge motif that I hope that something comes from it. Just in line that if it comes out of empty words, that would just suck because a lot of what Derek and Alyssa's storylines were revenge. To me, it's just a game. I mean, you got played. It's gonna happen. I mean, I just feel like you don't let it happen again if you're really trying to keep your eyes on them. But my gosh, like somebody had to win and it was going to be Xavier or somebody from the Cookout. Like just let it roll off your back and just play the game and play the game as best as you can. I mean, I just feel like there's so many bigger threats than the people that you're supposed to be quote unquote aligned with on this one. So to me, keep it in your peripherals.
Yes.
But don't let it like completely go away. Look for red flags, but don't. I just feel like the whole revenge stuff was just like a little bit too heavy-handed for this, and I would have liked to have seen a lot more different relationships and dynamics from other players that didn't get as many confessionals throughout the episode. I thought for an hour and a half episode, they really locked into certain relationships, certain
maybe they're going to be important though.
And then that was it. Well, but this is the first episode, and if they're trying to get longtime fans of the challenge to be really getting into these players, you need to be able to really highlight a lot of the other different players in this game at the beginning, at least, to really show something than just the main players going forward.
I just want to jump in there. I get where you're going with this, Drew, but I do feel like, for me personally, I saw a lot of these Big Brother players from last season in a very different light this time, and I don't know if that was just me. I could definitely see a different part of their personality. The Cookout Alliance was such a big alliance. I think the whole of America knew about it, right? It was like it made headline news. So I think to not focus on that group and what happened in Big Brother would have done a bit of a disservice to the Big Brother franchise being represented within the season. I personally, I mean, I'm a little bit higher on it than you. I'm with you, Chantal. I want to see this. Let's get payback. They outplayed us. I don't think Alyssa, she's not blinded by revenge and wanting to take revenge. She did say, like, I think both her and Derek said, we want Kylan in the game. We don't want him to be out this early on because he is still a loyal number for now. So they're not going to just blindly go after them. But I think it does set up a storyline of Alyssa blindsiding Xavier at some point this season, or Xavier finding out that she's playing against them or something like that. So I do think they're setting up a bigger storyline. I hear what you're saying. I mean, I'm the biggest Survivor fan, right? But and I know Tyson and Dom and like a bunch of other people, we wanted to see more of them as well. But yeah, I feel like it's a good start for me personally. I'm not too low on it.
Well, and I just to reiterate kind of where I was coming from with it is that I don't think that they would have been setting this up and showing it to us unless it became a really integral part of the story further down the road. Like that's the only reason why they would be showing this. And so I get it. Like you want to see other people be highlighted, but maybe they aren't going to have such an important storyline that's going to be addressed right now. Like maybe it's going to come to fruition tomorrow or next episode, you know, like maybe we'll understand more quickly than we're expecting why they had to show this relationship and this dynamic right now, because maybe something's going to happen really soon that is going to show this kind of actualized. So I feel like it was intentional.
Who do you think, Drew? Who do you think was sorry to jump in. Who do you think was the most under-edited for you in this? Who do you think they should have focused on more to get that mainstream
David
challenge fans getting in? No, I was looking, funny you say that. I was looking at his face as soon as I asked the question, but I was going to be a bit of a troll like you here and say David. But who else did you feel like they just didn't focus enough on them in this episode?
I mean, there's a ton of people that they didn't really focus. I mean, of course, they're going to give a lot more editing to Tyson, who won, Angela, who won, Kyland, and Azza, who won their respective competitions. But I mean, a lot of these players got maybe 2 confessionals or even just 1. I mean, Cinco, for what we were talking about with the stuff between him and Cache got 2 confessionals, Cinco got 1. And then you have Leo, who got 4 because of the whole cats thing. But other than that, you have Chantel only getting 2 confessionals, Enzo getting 2 confessionals, Dominic only getting 2 confessionals, Sarah 2, Ben 2. I mean, just the distribution of what we could have heard from so many different players just didn't play out at the beginning of, say, like an All-Stars, where we got a ton of other focus on the other players that were in this game. So now I know when David gets screen time, that boy getting the boot. Like, that's the only thing I know about, because he got nothing. You know who got to introduce David? Kayla said during the partner picking, I don't know that much about David, so I just know that he went out first and I don't want to be out first. That's all that was mentioned of David. David did not get a single confessional. So guess what? David is gone. When you see him get even like 1 confessional, just twist that eyebrow and be like, I don't know. He could be going.
I drafted him on my other one.
Yeah, Tatiana, I think she's got a better argument than you here, Drew. She says some focus on Tasha would have been good. You know, so Tasha wasn't really shown that much, and she's a big player. Yeah, she spoke about the fact that she got close to winning the money, but then ultimately, you know, didn't get there. So I hear you on this. I think it's tough with 28 new players coming into the game as well. It is tough to put, I guess, build anyone up in this first episode. How many people did we have in All-Stars in the beginning? Was it 20? I feel like it was a smaller cast compared to the 28, which is almost what we would see on a main show season, really, for the Challenge USA.
Might have been 24, because I feel like we didn't have anybody that was benched. So it must have been a multiple of 3.
Yeah,
so
it could be.
I think 24.
Yes. Yeah, it was. It was
not to get
each.
bogged down into the math too much here, but I think there may have been slightly less people, maybe that helped. But let's start off at the beginning here. We kind of skipped a little bit over the beginning. TJ comes in. You know, he gets introduced, gets a massive, ovation. People are happy to see him. I thought that, everybody was so excited. Like, it's almost even more than the people that he normally does the show with when they were applauding him coming there with the shadow walking in. And I'm so happy for TJ. I've said it on quite a few Facebook pages and things like that, or communities that I talk about the challenge, and I'm normally the only one that talks about the challenge. Most of my friends that I've made online are like Survivor fans, and they're like, oh, we're going to watch this now for the first time because there's Survivor players that's going to be in it. So I've had a lot of those people talk to me, and I said to them, in my opinion, TJ is one of the best hosts, if not the best host in reality TV right now. I love TJ. I'm like all in on TJ. So I'm so happy that he gets a bigger platform and more exposure here to a lot more audiences and fans out there to see TJ. They did put BMX legend in the bottom. I don't think they don't do that anymore.
Legend? Is that what they wrote? I was actually literally picking up my book to just remember exactly what they said about him. I'm like, it's because nobody's going to know who TJ is, so they're going to now go research him. And so it'd be like, oh, right, he is a BMX legend. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So cool for his exposure, I thought. And they don't do that on the challenge anymore, but to have him in there and welcome everybody. Now, obviously, they do explain the rules of it, and bank accounts is going to be back here this season. You need $5,000 to be able to play TJ's final, and we find out very early on here that it only takes one daily challenge win for you to be over $5,000, because you get $5,000 immediately, which will put both Angela and Tyson here this episode up to $6,000. And the one thing I didn't really get with this concept, and maybe you guys picked it up, I watched it twice and I still didn't really know the rule behind this, is that if people make it to the final with this money in their bank account, do they get to keep that? Is that extra money that they take home with them?
I don't think so.
Or is this just to qualify for the final? So it's basically just a skulls twist or a stars twist to help you get into a final.
Unless it's a bonus. Maybe it's a bonus. Maybe if you make it to, because it's all these new players, are like, well, if you make it to the final, even if you don't get to run the whole thing, whatever you have in your bank account, you get to take home. Like, maybe they'll do something like that if there's like a big purge at some point. So maybe there's going to be a point where you get to keep the money. But at this point, I don't think that it's going to be like you won 500 or 250 $3,000 because you had $3,000 in your bank. I don't think they'll do that. But if you don't win, maybe, and you run the final, maybe you get to keep your bank account. Maybe.
Hopefully they get to keep it.
Don't think so. I think it's just a way to keep them for I think they were trying to figure out a way in the format to make them want to try to win instead of relying on their numbers, and have them qualify for the finals in some way. And money makes the most sense because it's universal, instead of being like a skull twist or stars that don't make really any sense. So they decided to put money. I just think back to like vendettas, where even if you made the finals with something in your bank account, you didn't really leave with anything in your bank account necessarily. Or Final Reckoning was another one that you had money but didn't do much of it, if I'm remembering correctly. But I just think that it's not going to amount to them getting the actual money, because you still have to win $500,000 at the end of the day. So that's the big chunk that you're going for.
And you lose all of it if you get eliminated. But I would have thought that at least people making it to the finale with some money in their bank account, they get to keep it.
I'm going to go with that, just to be on the other side. I'm going to say that if they make it to the final and they get to keep the money in their bank account, if they win, they don't get their money in their bank account. They just get the win.
I can understand a little bit of the bitterness if someone like Tyson maybe gets to the end and he's got money in his bank account and he doesn't necessarily win the show. And they're like, oh, by the way, you don't get to keep the $25,000 you had in your account. I can understand why he's been a little bit bitter maybe online after the season, if that is the case. I think one of the worst things you can do is give someone money or make them think they've got money and then pull it away from them in the last minute. I think it's pretty bad. Like Sarah Rice knows all about that. We've got JP here in the live saying, I watched The Amazing Race and Survivor, and this is my very first season of the challenge. JP, welcome to the challenge community. We hope that you're going to enjoy the season. I think you're the exact person that this show is trying to capture right now, new fans. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts, JP. Let us know in the comments, what did you think of this first episode? Were you happy with it or not? Guys, so who did we not talk about here in the early times? I feel like Shannon was a big standout in the early parts of this episode. I mean, she got a lot of content from saying that she was trying to do a bit of workouts, get into shape, but she was hurting from doing a push-up and her shoulders. It was hilarious content, to the point of people saying, like her saying that her and James are being targeted because they're pretty. or they're good looking or something like that. Shannon is a great character. I really enjoyed her in this first episode. I thought she brought a lot of entertainment. Tell me a little bit about Shannon. What can we expect? Is this her? Can we see more of this throughout the season? Are you guys high or low on her at this stage?
I was surprised by this side of her that we saw on Love Island. She was kind of like this badass bitch, like don't talk to her a certain way. Like she was really like in control of her relationship. I just didn't expect her to buckle like this, especially coming from like the cheerleading back or whatever the gymnastics background that she had. So I thought that she would just be a little bit have a better game face, but I'm hoping that having this scare, but seeing that she was able to survive this scare, I'm hoping that will put that competitive spirit within her to realize like, oh, like I'm not down and out. Like I still can do something. I can still be here. Like maybe it will help her play the game moving forward. But I was just so disappointed. I was like, Shannon, like nobody's coming for you. Like, yes, people are strategizing and maybe that hearing the whispers and like just being maybe insecure and young and like not knowing what people are talking about and just not being in that environment before, like it could be unnerving, unsettling. So I'm hoping that she can get her game face on because I think she could do really well if she can just shake that off.
I think she's my early favorite from the Love Island people so far. I'm really enjoying what she's bringing to the show. A little bit of comedy, a little bit of laughter. Like Sudani here says, I laughed a lot when she was crying after her workout and didn't want to say how many push-ups she did as well. And Baby Icy is saying Shannon is an underdog for Love Island. So what's your thoughts, Drew, on Shannon? And was she the person that you guys said did some sort of athletics before even doing this? Yeah. So she does, so she does have like an athletic background.
Yeah, I mean, I really like her personality. I think that I'm hoping that this will light a fire under, but the only worry is that her name's already come up. I think Christina B has said it. The first rule of Survivor BB and the challenge: don't give them an easy reason to vote you, and she did. I mean, she had a vulnerable moment, and everybody took and ran with it. And so, I think because of her name coming up, if she doesn't get some good partners where she's partnered up with Big Brother or Survivor players, the next time she's partnered up with, say, another Love Island contestant or an Amazing Race contestant such as Leo, I mean, unless they start picking up some good social cues and some more relationships, she could have her name being popped up again. So that's the only worry that I see for Shannon, is that once your name is popped up, it's kind of like it floating in the back of everybody's mind for a little bit. And then after a few more targets start falling off, that name starts to come creeping back up into the front of everybody's mind. And then it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to send you in now.
It's time. Well, I think that randomizer might protect her for a little bit. Or put her with partners of people that either she would do really well with or that wouldn't get targeted if they didn't win. So that randomizer, keep track of who they put together.
I think one of the things as well is when you're met with some of these absolute accomplished people within the reality TV realm, some of them having played 4 times and they've won a show, and you've got people like Sarah Lucina, who's done so much in her life physically. She's a cop, she's just got that intimidation factor about you. I can see why someone like a Shannon potentially was intimidated by that in the early stages, but I can definitely see she is strong. And like Amy said here, Shannon is a gymnast and she is physically strong. The thing about the push-ups had to be fake, and maybe that's gameplay.
She also probably did like 100 push-ups, but like she probably did a lot of push-ups, but then she's just feeling inadequate. I think that she probably did a lot.
Also, just wanted to bring out here that Chantel saying that she's going to be staying. She's going to be staying with the Survivor crew for now, but she is going to other Chantel from Canada. But she wants Angela and Sarah to go head-to-head at some stage if she can make that happen. So that could be a little bit of foreshadowing, because in my mind, both Angela and Sarah is probably the 2 strongest people in the game right now. We do get James and Leo talking about building an alliance. They're in the Amazing Race. they're on the outside. I think they were by the pool table while they were talking about that, but they believe that might give them a little bit of flexibility. And I absolutely loved the inside jokes here that people who are new to the challenge may have missed on. Like, for instance, Danny and Chantel being on the same tribe in their original season, or in the same merge season. Danny getting one over Chantel, so his wife told him, don't let her get deep into the game, take her out early, and then he gets paired up with her in this very first episode. And he says he'll play with her for now, but he's going to look out for the Shanthem. Tell people, Chantel, what is the Shanthem for those that are challenge fans and don't know what he's talking about? They probably missed it.
And so it's basically the music that she is emulating that they play when people are up to no good. And so they actually scored her singing her and they put like orchestra behind it. Like, they actually made a whole shanthem, which I also thought was a really good newly coined word from Danny. Yeah. She's great, and hopefully he doesn't hear the shanthem, because I do not want Danny to go anywhere. I would prefer them to work together, please.
Yeah, she's the mafia pastor. Like she said, she's a pastor in real life, but when she plays the game, she leaves all of that at home, and she was devious to a certain degree. I would say she's one of the new school villainesses of Survivor, and that shanthem that she had was every time she was thinking of something devious, she would hum that to herself in the show. So that was really cool. And then also the second one here was Mau Mau talking about the fact that he thinks that Leo's a cool guy. He's a little bit weird because he likes cats a lot and things like that. I don't think that he referred to himself as the Mau Mau in the first episode, but Enzo is known as the Mau Mau. Being a cat, Leo liking cats, he's probably thinking maybe Leo likes them a little bit too much at this stage of the game.
So funny is that, like, I didn't even make the connection that the Meow Meow was like complaining about the cat content that Leo was providing until somebody pointed out to me in the comments. I was like, that's so true. I think that was like a little Easter egg for us that know who Enzo is and how he is the Meow Meow, because yeah, I didn't even catch it. I'm shocked.
I just want to throw it out there that if Enzo calls you weird, you're doing something wrong. Just throwing that
out. True.
Listen, Drew woke up and chose violence today. That's all I'm going to say coming onto this podcast. I wanted to go and ask you, Drew, you obviously a big fan, watched the challenge so many seasons, a bit of a historian when it comes to the show. How do you rate the place that they're living in here with the bunk beds, one big open room? It kind of looked like one big factory that they went into. I almost felt like the furniture looked good, but the living situation, I feel like it's probably not the best that we've seen on the challenge as of yet.
Yeah, one of my least favorite houses on the challenge as of recently. I really like when they go through the houses and they show all the stuff, but this is more used for utility, as I think that they're using the same living spaces for the rest of the challenge. That's what I think. So I think that they're using it as utility, giving them enough space, especially for a cast of 28 people. So I do think that they just got a warehouse and just put a random stuff in it to make it feel like a home. So that's where I'm at. I'm not a huge fan of this home. The bunk bed situation where everybody is just in bunk beds in one room really remind me of like Squid Game, where they're just all just in one area and that's it. Lights out at the same time kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's not my favorite.
Yeah, I think they put a lot of their budget for this show into the actual daily challenges opposed to where they were going to be staying. At least the furniture looked decent. They had a bit of a theme to it. It was like red and black throughout. I thought that was decent. I also did see this week that Tiffany and Xavier were the two people who did the house tour on the YouTube channel. So they took them around to show them all the things. And I will say that Xavier and Tiffany, their connection and how they bounce off each other when they were doing that was really fun to watch. I like both of them even more just by how they interacted with each other. And Xavier's got a way bigger personality, I feel like, on the challenge or on that bit of content that I saw than what I even noticed in the time that I was watching Big Brother, where I thought he was quite bland.
I haven't seen that yet, but I remember
need to go
seeing
watch it.
like a pop-up of that they were doing that, but I didn't end up watching it for whatever reason. So yeah, I'll definitely put that on my must-watch list. Because I do want to see a little bit more of the house because I find it fun when you like they get to the new house. It's like, wow, this is amazing, and they're just running around like maniacs, trying to get their bed and seeing what the house looks like. Like I do find that to be fun, and so I don't remember getting anything like that on this season. So I want to see the house tour. I do.
Maybe I say, will they be playing red light, green light while they're out there? I think that's what Drew was referring to with Squid Games. Also here, we've got Marco Polo, I believe, for the first time in the live stream. Welcome to the live stream. Hello from Taiwan. Love the premiere. James worked it like I knew he would. I thought James was the star, really, from the Amazing Race this episode.
Undrafted. I feel
undrafted and the star.
horrible.
I feel very bad when I watched it. Yeah. And what, you know why I feel even worse about it is because he's probably like the one person that would actually potentially stumble across our podcast and watch it, because he's such a big reality TV fan. He watches all the different shows. He knows the players. He used this knowledge to with the shows to his advantage when he talked to these people, and he got themselves from the bottom, out of the bottom spot, into a position where they didn't have to go into the elimination. I definitely feel like James for Big Brother, James for Survivor, any of these strategic social games, I feel like he could hold his own, and I feel really bad that we didn't end up drafting him. And I mean, definitely now in hindsight, with two people already out of the game and him still being in there.
100%. And when I did a recap with Sarah from Nerdtainment, he was in the chat, and I was like, oh, I mean, I didn't tell him that he went undrafted or anything like that, but like I definitely mentioned that on our channel. He was the MVP of the episode, like, which he was. I think that he really did a really great job with getting them out of trouble, making whatever deals he needed to make, and giving information that needed to be given in order to keep them out of harm's way. And I definitely feel bad because I always want to support the strategic people. I just didn't know he was this strategic, unfortunately. And so I was purely basing it on him. I don't know if he'd physically be able to handle the challenge. And just because of how he did on, the Amazing Race. And if I'm not mistaken, I think someone let me know that he was afraid of heights on the Amazing Race. And so I just wasn't as confident as I would be if I were to do this draft today. So I'm sorry, James, if you ever see it. I completely was wrong, and I'm eating my words big time. The audience gets to have you. And so get that win for the audience, because I poorly drafted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we get it wrong often. Like, I mean, I've had many drafts where, like, I'll go back to the Challenge All-Stars 1, right? We had Yes as our very last pick in that season, and he won the season. So we do get it wrong more often than not, unless we're Drew. Since Drew's come in, I feel like we've had to up our game. Drew, what did you think of James here in this first episode? Were you impressed with what you saw? And who else impressed you as well here in this first episode, moving strategically with the game? And let's remember, a lot of these players, they're learning this game for the very first time. So we're so used to seeing people come back and play the challenge over and over, and they hit the floor running because they understand the game. Yes, they change the game slightly. There's like different mechanics to it. But if you've done 5 or 6 challenge seasons, you're going to be playing this game at a different level probably compared to some of these players. Not that I felt they were behind the 8 ball, but who do you feel like is ahead of it at this stage with James at this stage?
I just think that James did really good this episode, and I will throw this out there. If James ever sees this, just know I'm sitting with a player with 0 points currently. So that is 7 points just waiting on that board that I could have used from this episode. Just throwing that out there. I think that it's really tough to tell outside of James who is really playing this game at this moment. I was really surprised with how well Desi and Cinco worked together on not just a physical challenge, but like a mental challenge, because both of them are a power couple and a power duo, but they were able to rappel down so quickly in this daily challenge and get the math right away. Like, I was so impressed, especially with how the whole narrative around the Love Island contestants are they even here to play the game? And I just think Cinco is laser focused. I think he knows what this opportunity can hold for him, and possibly making it further into maybe another Challenge USA, maybe another, making it over to the MTV Challenge. I think that he is just that competitor, and so is Desi. And I just was like so impressed by the way that they came into this daily challenge and was only a 17-second time difference, and they were in the running to win this one. So I'm very surprised with them, and I would love to see them go very far into the season.
It's a very valid point, right? Because when we looked at Desi and Cinco, both were drafted by Chantal here in the draft.
Did everybody on my draft team make the top 6? I don't know.
Well, we'll know towards the end. We'll know towards the end when we do the points. But you've got a very solid top 4 at this stage. But when you pick them, I don't think you probably picked them based on what they could do mentally necessarily in the game, but you knew physically they were going to be tough. So I can only imagine that this must be really scary for people out there, that they're seeing these two powerhouses actually also do well mentally, because there's very few players that can put both of them together, and when they can, they're normally the ones that win the show 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Yes, and I love that. I mean, we knew that Tyson was going to do well. I had a feeling that Angela was going to do well. I was really excited when they both turned and be like, "Hey, do you want to work together?" Or like he called out for her and like wanted to work for her. So he sussed her out. He got her to be his partner, and so obviously I was really happy about that. But then seeing how well that Desi and Cinco work together, I was like, yes, like they don't know this show at all, but they know they're good with their bodies physically, and so it was really, really satisfying to see them also excel in this daily. And it just makes me like very curious and excited to see how well they do on other dailies, because they did a really good job this time around, and the competition was pretty fierce, I would say. To be pretty close to a win, like I think that's pretty awesome. So I'm very happy for Cinco and Desi. Definitely a rookie, because they were, she didn't last that long on Survivor. Like I think she made it was first out at Merge, I believe. And he's never done like a competitive show. So I think that's great for them to do well in this one.
I think Cinco, he wants to make that jump over to the competitive show. Like that's why he said, I'm leaving Love Island behind. Like I want to get rid of that thing. I want to move into this. And I do think at this stage, it's very early on, Cinco fits the challenge really well. Let's see how he does for the rest of the season, but he definitely has that build. But we didn't get to see much of him from a personality standpoint in this first episode. Like Drew quite rightfully said, there, maybe the confessionals weren't there. It was a bit lopsided in these early stages. Just want to read a couple more comments here also in the live. Chris Todd says, James is also terrified of heights, but he didn't quit on the day. So I'm assuming that's from his Amazing Race days that we know that bit of information. Apparently, James was also a host on AfterBuzz. So RIP to AfterBuzz, who no longer does any content, I believe. So Survivor's happy to just get a change of underwear every day and not have to boil water. So I think they'll be happy with any kind of living situation at this point. Dolores here is asking, so James belongs to us. How many points do we have? I believe it's 7 points, right, Drew?
Yes. Yes, it is.
That's funny.
And Lovable Nikki say, let's not forget season 1. Yes, we did him dirty. Yes, we did. So we're very aware of it. And that's why don't take us too seriously when we don't potentially, draw someone very early on.
I do want to just say something about Cinco. And I was watching his Instagram popped up, and the workout that he's doing on his most recent Instagram post is actually, I've never really seen anything like it. So him and Josh, who is Shannon's ex-boyfriend, are doing these insane workouts, like bouncing on bars and like doing push-up, like clapping and throwing balls against each other. Like, it's like, I've never seen anything this difficult. And then all you see is like their muscles, like moving, like, I don't know. So I think that he wants to be a staple of the challenge for sure. And he would give Nelly T and Corey a run for their money with his workout regime, because it's intense. It's pretty badass.
Can we get him and Kels on the same season? Like, I want to see that happen. Like Kels is someone that I'm gutted not to see come back. And I feel like they're both physically big young guys that could come in and be a little bit of a breath of fresh air of newbies coming into the show to shake things up a little bit. So I endorse it so far. Let's see how it goes. It's only one episode in so far, but this first daily, what did you guys think of it? Like, they came into the show thinking this is a new audience. We need to really grasp the audience and keep them like, the first episode is what people are going to rate the season on, and they're probably going to decide if they're going to watch the rest of the season. So we got a lot of aerial shots of Buenos Aires over in Argentina, which I thought was quite beautiful. They tried a few different things. It looks like they've got a city location opposed to where they're normally outside of the city. But they do this high skyscraper type building that they have to go down and rappel down, and also do math equations as they go down. And then they have to put the number that they come up with at the end. They've got to put it down to see who finishes the quickest to win the daily. I was high on this. I really enjoyed it. I think, again, like first daily of the season, if we compare this to the daily that All-Stars 3 had, where they had to run and look through a peephole to find something and run back and solve it, it's slamming it out of the park for me. It's way better already, 1-for-1 on to Challenge USA when it comes to the challenge dailies so far for me.
I thought it was a great daily. I love the fact that if somebody was terrified of heights, we couldn't tell. I thought that was really refreshing, because we just saw a couple quits on All Stars 3, which we know that none of us like quitters, and neither does TJ. And so it was nice that it seems as though TJ was even impressed by everybody being able to at least complete it, and be so competitive even with the time of the final 3. So I loved the challenge. I love mixing different elements together. I thought that it was a great way to see how people work together. I loved having the math element in it, testing their fears out. I thought it was very, very, very strong. I'm just making fun of you do really need to have the crank game mechanic to make the numbers crank out, but they have to be extra sometimes.
I thought this was good for a first daily challenge. I mean,
Grumpy Pants, what's going on today?
I'm just giving my thoughts. I mean, not everybody.
This is a safe space, Drew. This is a safe space, Drew. You can say what you want.
It's good to have a different opinion.
I know.
Saying everybody loves it. But I thought it was decent. I think they needed something simple, something that they need to do and know that they're going to get done in one day with 14 groups that they're going to have to get through the whole daily challenge. So I thought it was decent. Who's afraid of heights, who's going to actually do it, which everybody did it. We know who can math, which is everybody. Shocker. We have people that can actually do math on this season.
Refreshing.
Every team except one team who went first. Normally it's a big disadvantage to go first. So I wasn't shocked that at least one team had to go back up the stairs and do it. It just stunk for Kylan and Azah to go first, and then everybody knew just don't have to go up the stairs twice.
Yeah,
just don't go up the
time.
stairs twice, and we won't go into an elimination. So, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a good first challenge. But I'm hoping that once teams start falling back a little bit, that's when we get to actually see some more octane, more interesting daily challenges that will really test them on different abilities and their teamwork a little bit more than just rappelling. Because this really was. As long as one person on the rappel could do math, I mean, they could leg out and carry the whole team. So, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a good first one. I really enjoyed seeing who was going to do well and who was going to quit. And I'm happy that nobody quit.
Yeah, Killer A's, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, is saying, I'm new to all these people because I didn't watch none of their shows, but I was impressed by them. And that's good. And listen, these are some good competitors out there. I thought people were going to be harsh on Azah for going up and then coming back down and nearly blacking out. And I was like, oh, look, this is why Big Brother isn't cut out for the show. But Azah really isn't the most fit out of all of the Big Brother contestants, and she still completed it. So, hats off to her. I found it to be quite heartwarming that she is trying to not let Kylan down as well. Even in the elimination, she's like, I know Kylan trained really hard for this. I want to keep up with him. I want to try and stay in the game. And they didn't have necessarily the closest relationship in their season. So it's interesting seeing these pairs shake out in the way that it did here in this episode. We also have someone here saying in the chat, and I can't remember who it was, that Tyson pushed everybody out of the way to get Angela. But I understand that. I would have done exactly the same thing, like Angela or Sarah. Those would be the two people. But I did find it interesting,
Sarah, though, right?
I did find it interesting. I did find it interesting that the way that they chose their pairs, none of the Survivor players ended up, except for Danny and Sean, pairing together. They tried to go in different directions and pair with Big Brother to, I guess, infiltrate a little bit of those, cross-pollinate some of those alliances coming into the game, which actually made it quite an interesting first vote, because Tyson and Angela, who do ultimately win this, and thank goodness for the rest of the field that they did split the pairs up after this, because I think Tyson and Angela could have probably just gone on a run, because they just seem to be really in sync. They get along well. And I think that they could have run this thing, for Angela to get along with someone. I almost feel like she doesn't get along with everyone, so like for her to have this Tyson dynamic, I think Tyson will, even though he kind of doesn't like a lot of the people there, I think he can fake it, but I think Angela will have more trouble with that. So I feel like that dynamic is good for the game that it got broken up. For us as viewers, I would have liked to have seen it play out. I think that could have been one of the more dominant pairs so far in the season.
Well, that could be one of the reasons why Tyson is so pissed. Maybe because like maybe he's like, okay, because I have it in my head now that like I got the best partner. Like I'll probably win most or every daily. I'll be able to have control. I've already qualified for this final. Now he even said it. Now I just need to survive. And so I think that with them shaking up the game this way, it's like, I'm gonna have to like work a little bit harder to win. Like, so I think that could be one of the reasons why. Also, though, I just remembered that Angela's a vegan. And so we were talking on All Stars about the food challenge and like people, they're questioning their morals and stuff like that. I'm wondering if that is going to come to play at all in this season, just because like she has like a vegan cookbook and, she represents vegan culture. And I don't think that she would eat something that, that wasn't vegan. So
I'm very fearful for her if she goes into a finale and she has to eat what Nehemiah had to eat. Like he ended up doing it, but I don't know if Angela, she really lives that life. She's even converted Tyler into a vegan now as well, who is her husband. I believe they're married now.
I don't think so.
Or they still engaged? Yeah. Okay, I know they're engaged at least. But yeah, so I think she lives, like you said, she lives that life. So I don't know if she could change it up. But again, here, Drew, quite an interesting strategy being utilized very early on, cross-pollinating into different shows, so that at least there's a little bit of more difficulty for people to throw others into the elimination. I thought that was quite smartly done by most of the players, at least.
Yeah,
Love
definitely.
Island did
it was
really
definitely
good.
Smart. Was to split off into different. So now you not only have the Big Brother numbers, but the Survivor numbers. I will say that I am glad that the players are going to have to work with other people that they may not have wanted to be partners up with, just for the sole fact that what you were saying, Chris, Tyson and Angela could have went on a run. We don't want to see predictability. I know people love to see Tyson. I love to see Tyson, but I don't want to see him just waltz to the ending like CT.
Put some work.
And so, yeah, I want to see what he can do with partner up with, say, Cache, or partnering up with Justine. Like, I want to see him actually, like Tasha. Like, we want to see some of this cross pollination. So I'm glad that they're going to have to actually work for it, because I do think that they would have been such a strong team that maybe they wouldn't be wanting anybody to take a shot at them. And I don't see them coming in dead last in any type of challenge, so they wouldn't go directly into the elimination. So I am happy for that aspect, even though it can get a little wonky with just a computer and lights and beams lighting up names.
Randomizer, sure.
Well, let's not forget, we mentioned here we were impressed by Desi and Cinco on this challenge, as well as obviously Tyson and Angela won it. Danny and Sean, who you wouldn't have thought would be two people necessarily coming into this game working together, they were also in the top three. There were like 3 seconds in between the different placements. Obviously, Danny, someone that you rated very highly, Drew, coming into the season, he was your number one guy pick. I'm sure you were very happy about the fact that he did well here. Overall, I thought there were some fun teams, but definitely mixing it up is going to be fun. I'm a bit low, and we might as well talk about it now. I'm a little bit low on the algorithm, because it seems a bit like, listen, who's behind the algorithm pushing the button, and do they pre-program it for certain pairs to be together? I don't like it when things are up for question. So if a viewer watches it and suddenly Tyson is paired up with Sarah next, or different people are paired up in a way where it keeps them in the game, I think that questions are going to be asked. Surely there was a better way that they could have done this, like pick random colored balls out of a bag and two people with the same color, they're in the same team. There's got to be a different way in my mind to make it so that no one can question it.
Or do the free agents thing where TJ would have all the names of the women in one bag, the men in the other, and you pick one after another, and then they get to choose the partner as long as they weren't partnered with them earlier or this past time. Let Angela and Tyson choose their partners first since they won the challenge, and then have Kylan and Azah pick because they won the elimination and they need the help. I think that would have been better. I just, like you said, I don't like things up for grabs. Like production could be writing all these names down and just hitting buttons to light up the names. So that's where I'm kind of not a fan of. I love the idea, just don't like the execution right now.
Totally agree with you guys. Like I do want to see, I wish I was going to be seeing a little bit that like Tyson and Angela, I want to see them as a really power duo and like have a really good run. But I totally understand for entertainment purposes, like shaking it up, it doesn't allow for the steamroll that we were worried about before season started. It's like, okay, there's too many Big Brother people that just played a season together. Like obviously they're going to either group together with the Love Island people, or they're going to pick up, they're too strong, too many strong groups. And then they have like these people on the outskirts. So I was always going to be worried about some sort of alliance forming and it being a steamroll. So this completely negates that from happening. But I agree. I don't trust the producers. Yeah. I do think that they will be doing it in favor for keeping the people that are entertaining. So I think Tyson doesn't have very much to worry about. I don't think she's entertaining necessarily, but I don't think Angela has much to worry about right now. But anybody that has any sort of drama might have to worry about things right now. So the Cash, that's why I was saying Cash and Cinco. Why are you laughing? Cash and
just
Cinco
thinking,
will probably put together.
Just thinking Angela could be entertaining just made me laugh a little bit. On my season of Big Brother, I was looked at as cold and heartless, and I think here I will do the same. No inflection.
Over here, I am going to show so much personality. You guys are going to love me. She's very, very. I listen. I think Angela's probably a great person in real life. It's the similar thing with Casey. When Casey goes on there, I know
she's more entertaining than Casey. I'm sorry, I have to say
she probably will be. She probably will be.
Her confessionals are better.
Yeah. And the thing about Angela and why I would agree with you there as well is that if you cross Angela, you will get her going after that person. She will even go after people who didn't cross her, and then they will be asking afterwards, "What's wrong with Angela?" So like there is going to be some drama in the show if she is there. I think that Casey is a lot more level-headed and cool and won't go after someone, but I think Angela's got a bit of a fire there. You don't want to mess with her. So I agree with that at least. But Lovable Nikki here says that the randomizer is no different from when TJ tells people before the daily that the teams were chosen randomly, and that's true. Also here, Shizzy agrees that the producers can definitely have their hands behind the scenes. Imagine Ben and Sarah on teams, and not very happy with that. Both my number 1 and 2 pick there, Shizzy. You didn't need to come at me like that, But I get it. There's a lot of people. It's funny because Ben came into the season saying that, he was this loyal guy and put his own game at risk for other people, which he did, especially in Winners of War. But he said he's coming in differently here. So people hated him for being the nice guy. I'm wondering how people are going to feel about him now that he's not going to be the nice guy. Maybe people will like him if he's more of a villain.
I'd like him more, I think. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I don't hate Ben so far on this season. So he has room for me to start actually rooting for him.
Going to work on you, Chantal. End of this season, we're turning you into a Ben fan with me. I'm not going to be the only
Ben
one.
Bombs! Yeah, can you buy me a Ben Bomb? I want a Ben Bomb! Yes!
Imagine him being like in the elimination, taking people out, and as they go down, he's just like, you just got hit by a Ben Bomb.
Yes! Ben Bombs! Yes!
All right. So obviously Tyson and why do I forget her name right now? Angela and Tyson, they win the daily. They go and they have to make a decision on who they're going to put in. We talked about this quite a bit. It was a difficult decision for them to make because so many people...
it wasn't actually a difficult decision. Tyson gives 0 fucks about it. He's like, it doesn't matter to me. He's like, I'll just do the best.
They have to pretend like it's difficult.
Yes.
They have to pretend, at least. But they do end up going for Giovanni and Silly, right? Sally.
Yeah.
They were the two people that they put in there. We do have the elimination being one that we've seen before as well, which is jumping into this pyramid structure. They've tethered together. They've got a big, heavy rope that they need to tie into knots, jump through this, pyramid, and then they have to go to the other side and then untie it. And they're going to go up against Azza and Kyland, who were last. And Azza puts her heart into this. She even loses eyelashes in the midst of doing this challenge. It was good to see. I mean, she wasn't known for her challenge abilities necessarily in Big Brother, but so far I feel like she's really stepped it up. And from an entertainment point of view, I'm enjoying the dynamic. I'm like higher. I feel like I'm higher on these Big Brother players than what I thought I would be coming into the season so far.
Than you thought you'd be? Come on.
Yeah, definitely.
Come on.
I didn't even finish their season. I was like, these guys are boring. They're going to win. It's too straightforward, and I was out.
Well, I mean, I'm always worried about Azza because I do feel like, she had that pass out moment. Like, I feel like she's a little bit fragile. So it was nice to see that she was able to come out on top with this elimination. But I also think it was quite unfairly matched for the women because Selly is 5'2", she says, and weighs like maybe 100 pounds. And Azza is probably 5'9", I believe, and she's tiny, but she still probably weighs a significant amount more than Selly did. And when I was listening to one of Selly's exit interviews, she said that they were actually ahead of them, but they pulled all the rope out to the wrong side. It wasn't in that circle. And so then it was just really hard for them to have to pull it all the way through back into the middle and back out onto the correct side. And so that is actually why they ended up losing, because if they had just figured out that you had to put it in that particular hole in that spot, then they actually probably would have won. Even though Selly is a lot teeny tinier than Azza. We saw that, Giovanni's like hoisting Selly up because like she can't pull herself up. And Azza's, 7 inches taller than her, which is quite significant. So I was upset that Selly went home in this fashion because I do think that she was like directing Gianni what to do. And like they were really working really well together and they were quite fast, even with the size difference. But because of a very big miscalculation of where that circle was, it cost him their life in the game. But I don't know if Oz is going to win this one. I don't think it's her game.
I'm so happy that you said that they were like, to know that bit of facts that they were ahead, because I loved Selly in this elimination. I loved the way she took charge, but also at the way that she was like, all right, we're in the middle of this like disgusting nest of a rope. Let's just start knotting it up here. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what you do. You go around a few times and then you just knot it up. The only one thing that I felt like they didn't come into the elimination knowing that bit of strategy, because I think if the whole point is to knot it up in the middle, but then get all the slack out while you're doing it. So that way it's like, because when I saw it like resting on the ground, I was like, that's where it's going to go wrong, because it's easy enough to get it. I mean, when CT had that going up against Darrell and Invasion, it was hanging to where CT was like hanging it in like it was a hammock, to where at the point that Darrell was trying to get out of it, he had to get up into the air and try to like jump inside a hole into the rope and then jump down on the ground to get back up to jump through. Like it would have just been that much difficult. Now that was a bigger jungle gym than this pyramid, but I was like, she had the strategy down. Like she knew what she had to do. And I was like, I feel like they could have won it if they would have just learned that strategy or got it a few minutes ahead of time before
or if
swapping,
they just realized where the circle was, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then that's what got me being like, okay, so I felt like I had that planned. Like I was like, I think they should have been ahead because they found that plan out better. But now I know, like, okay, that's definitely the strategy to go with. They just made a huge mental error that resulted in them leaving the game. So I hate to see Selly go out, not just because she's on my team. I really liked her personality on both Love Island and this show. And I loved her tenacity and passion in the elimination. I think she really shined in this elimination. Not so much the daily challenge, because she was like kind of freaking out up there saying like, I don't know anything. Don't ask me any questions. I just want to get off this building, to this elimination where she was really giving Giovanni the business. I loved it. Don't like that she was trying to kiss Enzo though.
I was gonna
So-
ask you that. I was gonna say, like, are you sad that we're missing out on the Enzo Selly love story?
No, raise your standards.
Meow meow and
Don't-
Selly
don't do
bird.
this.
Do you
Don't
think
do this.
Enzo is sad, or do you think he's relieved?
I don't. I think she's too young for him to be really entertaining that.
Yeah,
she's
He was probably
like,
uncomfortable.
she's like
Yeah, he was probably
25,
like,
I
"What are you
think,
doing?"
24, 25.
Yeah.
young.
Just want to go back to a few comments here, all the way back to some of the Ben comments coming up. He didn't seem nice on when it said more to me, more whiny than anything else. I don't want to be blind to that. He definitely had his moments where I thought he was not great to Adam. He wasn't great to Jeremy, so that's fair. Tatiana also saying that the Giovanni guy was lit. That kid was really exciting. I
loved him heckling. What did you think
I
about
like the trash
heckling?
talk. Yeah, you know, Chantal, you've watched Australian Survivor. That's a big thing in Australia and New Zealand as well. Like, we like to trash talk in between like things. So I really enjoyed that, and I felt like it was kind of getting into Azza and Kylan's head, and they were like just trying to like cut it out and be like, no, we'll talk afterwards. We're not going to do that back to them, you know. So that was exciting.
Well, and when I was listening to their exit interview, they're like, and like Giovanni's just like having fun with it. He's saying that Asa fainted. Like, and they're getting so heated over it, and they're just like really joking around with like their heckling, you know. And like she's like, oh, I love them both. Like, I'm not mad at them at all. Like, it's all good, all in good fun. So I like them both as a character. Its characters. I love Selly, obviously, from her season 2 of Love Island, and Giovanni was a fan favorite at one point too. I really appreciated his personality and thought he got done dirty. And the fan base at one point was really hoping that maybe there could have been a love connection between them. So we're obviously learning that that's not the case, but they did end up working together. So I guess we kind of manifested that to some degree.
Yeah, I think they proved that they can't work together now after this. It's like, we can't ship this anymore because they were eliminated. The chemistry wasn't there. Also, Tatiana says, Azza's eyelash won the elimination. It hung there for dear life. It did indeed. Christina saying they had me on this edit. I thought they were setting up Kylan to fail. I watched 10 seasons of the challenge, and Silly Giovanni were going to pull it out. There was a lot of, and you've got to ask yourself, like, I know that Kylan was going to go into the elimination, but I really felt like they were focusing on Kylan as this young guy coming onto the challenge who's watched the game before. He really wants to win it. He's there for it. He worked hard before coming onto the season. I felt like he was one of the rookies that they painted the best picture for him. If like a winner's edit did exist, or if there was like a Euro you wanted people to shout for. I don't know if I was the only one fooled by the edit by this, but I really enjoyed Kylan this episode, and I feel like the edit made me really enjoy him.
I can't enjoy him. I mean,
because you've got Big Brother in your mind and how he left, right? Is that the main reason?
But like, I watched him the whole season on the feeds, and he is exhausting for the fact that, like, when he was head of household, like 2 or 3 times, I can't remember, but he would just take meetings with people all day long, and it would just be him speaking at people like for the entire day. It was just like, he was just not somebody that I would have enjoyed playing the game with. People were like, oh, we can't have Kylan to be another HOH. We can't, like, they were terrified of him having another HOH because it was just so insufferable. And so I think that his pompous attitude, because he does think that he's the smartest, the greatest, the best at everything, which is fine to have that confidence. But I think that that's probably what lost him and Azza the Daily, because I think that he was so assured that he knew the answers to these math problems that she didn't even maybe look or interject with her own ideas, because he's so like my way or the highway. And I believe he kind of recognized, like, oh, it was my fault. I was doing like something times 3, but he did something wrong. But like, that's what lost it, is that he was so assured and he wasn't right. And that's kind of, I just don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy somebody, like, his personality. I'm not a fan. I'm not. So.
I feel like, Chantal, I'm always shouting for the people you don't like, and then I get enjoyment by them going deep in the game and you getting frustrated by it. But there's a whole backstory there, and I think that it shows you how much an edited show can make you love or hate someone, where on Big Brother you can't hide behind an edit.
Oh my god, exactly. I mean, yeah, I watched him too much of him that I was like, I was boycotting the feeds at one point because I'm like, I can't deal with another head of household reign of his. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. And then also, like, you didn't watch this part, but in the end, like, he was already having some canoodling moments with Tiffany, and then he would rather throw Tiffany under the bus, and he was just like so rude about her, and then wanting to work with Xavier instead, and going to the end with Xavier, and basically saying that Tiffany's trash and doesn't do anything in the game after they just made out. Like, it was just like, it wasn't really a great showing of his personality. And Tiffany, okay, fine, she might have forgiven him, but she also said she never watched back her season, so she doesn't really know how not great it was. So that I don't also appreciate about what I know of him. But I'll give credit where credit is due. I did love the fact that he went back and watched those 10 seasons and really took a look at how the winners had to get to the end. I think that is something that's commendable. As you said in the beginning, that's something I always want new players to do. And so I am happy that he did that. But I don't think I can be rooting for him because I really did not enjoy him on Big Brother 23.
Yeah, I think I was just gonna say that I think it was a really good edit for him, because I mean, he wasn't necessarily talking trash to his own partner, or they didn't show any footage of him being mean to Asa at any point. Like,
she might have.
I mean, he could have. I just don't. It wasn't in the edit. Like, in the edit, every time we heard him talking to her, he was like, "Just let me know when you're doing something." I did feel like there was some passive aggressive, like when she was like, "I'm caught here," and then he's like, "Just tell me when you're caught." Like, I know it's a highly stressful situation, and we've seen worse partners. I just think that he benefited from this edit because it did make him look a lot better when he was carrying her over to the shade, helping her out, taking the blame for the math portion, helping her through the pyramid a lot of the time. So I do think that I do think that he could be a different way. We're just not seeing it from the editing show. Also, Selena for life, happy birthday. But also, if it's Kylan's birthday, happy Kylan. If you're watching this, James, I'm sorry I should have picked you. If anybody's watching this.
I was going to say, hearing the backstory of everything that went on the live feeds with Kylan, and obviously, like I said, I mean, I watched about half of that season. I didn't finish it. Like, you've got to ask yourself, why are they painting this really positive picture around him and building this edit up? Like, if he isn't going to be someone that is going to be a big player this season, or is going to go deep, or they want people to get behind him because they want to bring him over to the main show, or there's got to be an agenda here. I feel like if they're painting him in a certain way, but yeah, anyways.
Well, someone in the chat was saying it's going to be maybe a hall brawl with Kylan and Xavier, which would be very
Can't wait for it, because we spoke about that in the draft, and I backed my boy Kylan because he's in my draft team. I've got to back him to beat Xavier. So let's see if that actually does happen, because then I'm either going to be proven wrong once again, or maybe I get it right once. You know, like even a broken clock is right twice a day. So I could be that broken clock that is right one of those two times.
And just throwing this out there, we've heard so much about the revenge of people outside of the cookout. I mean, I know they didn't probably want to show the clip of him leaving the Big Brother house, especially what he was saying about Xavier's nephew. But I mean, I'm more intrigued about Kylan versus Xavier coming onto this season, more so than I'm worried about Alyssa and Derek X trying to get revenge on the cookout. That's what I was most wanting to see. So them not saying anything when the whole thing was about revenge, not hearing a single thing about Kylan versus Xavier was shocking to me.
I think they squashed the beef from what I've heard, like in interviews and things. It seems like they're pretty friendly with each other. They've had conversations since then. I did see Xavier giving Kylan and Azza advice and spurring them on when they were down there, saying, hey, just don't worry about it, go back up, you know, type of thing. So it kind of looked like he was in their team. It could be because of Azza, I don't know. But I don't know if we're going to see that, even though we want to see it. And I don't know if they're like Johnny Bananas and Wes, if they know that the fans would love to see a beef, and they will play it up a little bit for the cameras. T Lit here is saying, I don't know if this has been mentioned, but does anyone know if there will be one male and one female winner, or just one winner period? Hope it's one on each side in the end, because it's so physical. And I can say, I don't think they explained it in the episode, but it's been mentioned before, there will be a male and female winner who will go in to compete in the global competition against other male and female winners from other franchises as well.
Yes, I don't know if I think they did say this episode that like each male and each person will win $250,000. I think he said that, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's one each.
Also here, Chris Todd says, I found out that Kylan has autism, so I get why he can say things in a certain way. Not saying it's an excuse, but it could be something that potentially where he doesn't know the right thing, I guess, to say in certain social circumstances. I wasn't aware of that, but that really is what people struggle with.
He did say neurodivergent, so I didn't know that he was autistic, but he did say that he is neurodivergent. So that could be a lot of different things. So if it's autism, okay, then I'm impressed by him being able to, do so well on these shows. But I didn't appreciate some of the social cues and the way that he was treating people, how it came through. So I'm sorry that he has to kind of overcome that, but I didn't like how some of the things that I saw.
Dolores say, have we forgotten #Kylan complaints? Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that's for Big Brother.
Oh my God! Oh, go to #Kylan complains on Twitter, and he honestly goes like any company he's ever had any sort of dealings with, he complains on Twitter about them, and it's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of complaints of everything, whether it's like the Staples store or like or like going to the ATM, like everything. He complains about everything, and so there was somebody that was logging all of his complaints.
Yeah. So one more comment here. In her challenge interview, Azza said that she and Colin thought that TJ may ask if they want to switch partners, and they decided to stick together. This was before TJ's twist reveal. So they decided that they were going to stick together, even if there was an option afterwards for them to infiltrate another pair, like we've seen on Double Agents and some of the other seasons out there. Which is interesting that they were going to stay together because, they're two Big Brother players. You would have thought the right move there would have been to infiltrate other alliances.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that you want to build a good working relationship with someone. And I think that going into an elimination together and being victorious is really a bonding moment between them. And they know a lot about their strengths and weaknesses now and what they can do to become a better partner instead of having to start from scratch again with somebody new and potentially somebody being pissed that you broke up their pairing and screwed up maybe their dynamic. And so I think it probably would be the best choice for them, especially if was there another survivor team? Maybe that would be the only way that I'd maybe break somebody up is so it'd be Survivor and Big Brother on both of those teams. I think I understand why.
Danny and Sean would have been the Survivor team that they could have infiltrated. Drew, let's go into points. Let's have a look at how we did in this first episode. Obviously, I did lose Giovanni. You did lose Sally. In your team there. So Chantel's off to a good start. She's got a one additional person to us, but it might not reflect in the points, even though she did have both people who won the daily. So I'm assuming she would have a very good shot of being at the top. Can you quickly let people know, especially those that maybe are listening to this the first time because they don't watch the challenge, they've never seen our drafts, how the point system will work, and then go into who's got the most points after episode 1?
Yeah, so we did a draft. We have 9 people each. Some of us have 8 now. And we're doing points per confessional. So if your player gets put onto the screen at one point and is talking directly at us, they get 1 point. Daily challenge wins are 5 points each. Elimination wins are 3 points each. Kissing and making out arguments are 2 points apiece. And then DQs, you get -2 points if a player gets medically DQ'd out of the game or they don't want to do a daily challenge, they quit. As long as it says disqualified or DQ'd on the bottom of the screen, your player will get -2 points. Your player makes it to a finals, 10 points, and a win for the whole game is 50 sweet points. And we don't have anything too much extra in here as we were just going through. But if something comes up or a new twist in the game is added, maybe we'll figure out a point system for that. But at this point, that is just the classic rules, classic points, and we can get on with the standings. In third place, I don't know how it feels to be down here and losing a player this early, but I'm in third place right now with a a score of 34 points. Danny is my leading scorer. I only had confessional points in this game. So I had 8 confessionals from Danny. My lowest score is David, who didn't get a dag-on point. David, say something funny. Say anything in the confessionals. My God,
God,
do you even know
I
where
drafted
the confessionals
him
are?
on my other one because you're like, oh, he's all over this trailer. And I was like, okay, maybe if he's all over this trailer, maybe I'll pick him on my team. And I should have not picked him. I also didn't realize that we hadn't picked Leo yet. And I should have gotten Leo over freaking David. But, you know, we can't be perfect all the time.
Yeah, so that's fun. That's fun. Hopefully he gets one confessional next week to get on the board. He's the only person that did not get a confessional at all this episode. So I'm in third place. Number 2 is Team Chris, with his leading scorer being Kylan because he got 8 confessionals and an elimination win. You also had Tiffany coming in strong with the confessionals towards the end of the episode, but you got 40 points in second place. So
happy with that, especially for Tiffany. I feel like
2.
we didn't talk much. I don't think we talked much about Tiffany, but I feel like she's a bit of a presence this season as well. Great at confessionals, really well connected. I mean, third last pick, I guess, on my draft. I feel pretty good about getting those points with someone that was picked that low.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And Giovanni, you lost Giovanni, who got you 6 points. Selly got me 8 points. So she tied Danny, but she's no longer getting any more points for the rest of the season. And at number 1, we have Team Chantel, who has 3 people already in double digits, with Angela having 11 points with that win and 6 confessionals. Tyson also had 6 confessionals and 5 points for winning the daily challenge. And Azza with 11 points, her last pick, getting 8 confessionals and 3 points for the elimination win. You have a total of 53 points from episode 1, and you're in first place. 13 points over Chris and 19 points over me, and you have all your players still left in the game.
Feel the heat.
It's early days, Chantel. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
I really don't know how all of this is going to shake out. Like, I was only very confident with my top 2 picks. Everybody else, I was like, I'm going to do my best, but like, I don't really know how things are going to go. So I'm happy that I'm coming out in front, but I think that there's so much potential, especially with this randomizer, that can shake things up completely for my roster. So I'll take all the points right now, but I know that they could just be snatched out from under me in just a hot second. So
obviously you don't know, because we did this draft before the season was completed. I think there was no trailer available. Like, that's the reason we did it. Even though, you know, Nikki, who's in the live moderating today, she did tell me in the week that, you know, the audience would like to be involved in future drafts again because they really enjoy being a part of it. We kind of did it differently for this season because we wanted to make sure no one can say, oh, you know, you were spoiled or anything like that. But at the end of the day, we want you guys in the live to have fun. So if you have more fun being a part of these drafts, we'll definitely change it up again. We tried something different here for this season so people couldn't potentially put blame on us for people doing well, like Chantel killing it at the moment. But obviously we didn't know how things were going to end up. But overall, great start, Chantel. I think, you know, it's a long season ahead, Drew. You could still come back. We know your history with winning drafts. I think you're ahead now with the most draft wins. 2 draft wins, I believe, so far. And myself and Chantel won 1 together out of the 3 that we've done so far. So it's all up for grabs.
Before we got the scoreboard going. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm just coming to tie you. I won't even tie you because I won't even have like my own full individual win. So, you know, you're still going to be the top even if I do win.
I miss All-Stars already. I'll just throw that out there. My 800 points down to 34.
I can't even believe that you had 800 points. Like, I will never, ever not watch your... I was like, I don't want to watch a shot breakdown. I'm going to go in blind. Like, no! I'll watch it.
The only thing about the Challenge USA is I don't think I would have been as spoiled because they did a much better job. I would have actually probably picked David earlier.
Higher.
Like I would have probably picked him as my second guy pick just because I was like, oh, David's all over this place. I'm gonna go off on the trail. I'll pull Chris and just pick David right in the beginning.
I'm not even that crazy. Like I'm not even that crazy. Like I know to stay away from David at least, you know. So anyways, guys, it's been a lot of fun here for the last 2 hours talking about both the Challenge All-Stars and the Challenge USA. If you're new to the channel and you've never seen any of our podcast recaps lives before, we try and keep it fresh, keep you guys as involved as possible. Christina mentioned here, maybe you guys should get the leftovers in the future. I won't do you guys dirty like that. Not that James is a leftover. James is an A+ tier player that we missed out on at this stage because I've been very impressed with him. But I think in the future, there's a few things I'm looking at behind the scenes where we can get you guys more engaged. Maybe we do something different where you get some picks in a draft as well. We like to change things up and keep you guys involved. It's fun for us when you're in the live. You're telling us what you think. You agree, you disagree with us. We love that type of engagement. So definitely with the drafts, we'll do something different in the future.
I have done it before. I believe what I do it for. Big Brother, this most recent Big Brother, I did give the audience, like the chat, a spot in the draft. And so we did still like an order or whatnot. They got to pick an order just like that. So whatever the consensus was in the chat was who would win the next person on the draft. And so they came very close. Everybody had one person left in the game. So I ended up winning because I had Kevin, but they had Josh, the audience. Wow. And so it was really fun because we're seeing like, oh my God, is the audience going to win the draft? Like, oh my, it was quite intense. Yeah, Michelle had Betty, I believe. I had Kevin. Audience had Josh, and JoJo had somebody else that was top 4. So it was pretty good. It worked.
I've got some things that I'm looking at the moment. I'm looking at how I can implement it. You know, I'm always trying to think, how can we keep things moving? How can we keep it, you know, evolving as we do this? And I think, I don't know, I'm going to butcher your name and I apologize in advance. It kind of looks like one of those Irish names like Neve or something like that, you know, where you completely butcher it. But I don't know if it's Nevea or Neve, but we are looking at a few different things behind the scenes. So maybe like a poll in the future, something where we can get you guys more involved in as well, I think would be a lot of fun. But if you're new to the channel, you've just come across it, please check out all 3 of our YouTube channels. You can see it on your screen there, The Nullified Take, Reality Realness, Angel Cake Entertainment. All 3 of us do a lot of content for reality TV. Drew is your man for anything and everything the challenge related. He does some endurance. He's got a Patreon, which he gives back to his community so much. He does special viewing parties he's going to be doing. If you've ever gone across his channel for the Tiny Talk, I believe, Drew, you're doing Tiny Talk exclusive for Patreons this season?
Yes, for the $3 and up tier, I'll be doing Tiny Table Talks live Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So patreon.com/angelcakevids. Also, talking about audience participation, I think I want to do our own fantasy draft on my channel when 38's coming up, and I would love to do a team Patreon. So they would be in the mix. I would do a poll for them, and then coming into it, they can get either the first, second, third, or fourth pick, and then really screw all of us out of sniping some of the picks out there. So that's what I kind of thought about. So I'm excited for that.
Fun.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Also scared.
Chantel, what do you have on your channel coming up over the next week? I always find it difficult to promote your channel because you do so much. You know, you've got everything on there basically.
Just subscribe and ring the bell and tune in when the bell goes off. That's pretty much daily. I'm going to be going live with Love Island, usually at 6:15 Eastern. We'll go on for about an hour just talking about the most recent episode. On Monday, the Bachelorette starts, but we'll be going live on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays also we'll be doing the Amazing Race Canada. Wednesdays we will be reserving for the Challenge USA. And then Thursday we'll be doing Big Brother, both episodes. So the Wednesday episode and the Thursday episode. And then I'm going live with you guys on Fridays. And then Saturdays I'm also doing the Challenge USA with Sarah from Nerdtainment. I think that's all that I'm doing. I could be wrong. Ring the bell.
Yeah, ring the bell, guys. Again, a question there for you, Drew. What tier and up for Team Patreon? I think you're on mute.
Mute,
I think.
You're muted or your mic's out?
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. I was just gonna do the whole Patreon. So even if
There
you
we
give
go.
$1, you'll get your name in the credits of every single one of my videos, and then you'll be able to vote on the tier list for who would be on Team Patreon. But we're waiting until Challenge 38, which will probably be September. I'm pretty sure about. I'm thinking that after the August Untold History series is over, that's when we're gonna go directly into the Challenge 38.
Yeah. Non-stop challenge content until the end of the season. Also subscribe to the Nullified Tag channel where you've been watching this, or Reality Realness. Check out both channels. Subscribe for more Survivor content. I had a few videos dropped this week about Australian Survivor. Heroes versus Villains is most likely the next season that they're going to be doing in Australia, so it's going to be interesting. Go check it out for my thoughts. We've got some early rumored cast members returning for that season on the channel. We've also got our kickoff show for Survivor South Africa, which I'll be doing with Zoe and Richard on the channel next week. It'll probably be just before the Challenge USA content that we'll be doing next weekend as well on the Friday evening. So a lot of things happening on this end. Please subscribe, hit a like on both videos, and catch you guys next time. See ya. Bye.
Can I just
go.
Can I just say one more thing?
Go.
If that person is asking about live Tiny Table Talks, it's $3 and up for live Tiny Table
For
Talks.
clarification,
If that's what they're asking about. So
I think they were
just wanted
saying
to throw that
team.
out there.
I think they said Team Patreon, so I'm assuming it's for the draft.
All right, just throwing that out there. Also, an extra plug.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.